just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 89. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benezowitz, and we got two teams at 5-3 in the New York area. And if I said the Knicks fan would be more upset his or her team is 5-3, and the Nets fan is like, we're 5-3. Okay. I don't know if you'd believe me when I would say that to start the season, but that is where we are. Alex, how are you?
It's a happy 5-3 and a sad 5-3. I'm good, man. How are you? I'm good.
I'm hanging. I'm doing well. I went to the Nets game last night and did see the Nets in person defeat the Atlanta Hawks. Is it really that hard to beat Atlanta in New York? Didn't seem that tough.
You got them. Well, the Knicks won one of the three in New York.
I know. I'm just having fun.
And four last year in the regular season. So we'll just keep that going. But no, the 5-3, the good 5-3, bad 5-3. I want to get the thought out before I lose it. Like, it's kind of like a tie in football where it's like there's a good tie and there's a bad tie, where it's a tie that feels like you win and a tie that feels like you lost.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what it is. But go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I would say,
Proceed.
your team. I mean, your team was on a 2-game losing streak. Started 5-1. People proclaiming, the typical tweets. Look at the standings. That whole thing. I had somebody, I think it was the Six Borough, tweeted out. I thought it was pretty funny. He was like, man, I had to go into my app today to look up the standings. The Knicks fans wasn't tweeting it for me this morning. I was like, that was funny. But the Knicks on a 2-game losing streak, and it's just so funny, the highs and lows from the Nets side too, man. Like, Nets were 2-3, now on a 3-game winning streak. Atlanta definitely being the best win of the bunch at home. Defense looks good, and Kevin Durant was Kevin Durant. It's just funny to see when the season started to where they are now, and just the highs and lows of an 82-game season. Alex, like we were saying, you're going to feel wins and you're going to feel losses, and it's hard not to get too high and it's hard not to get too low, but it really is a long fucking year.
Yeah, it's more fun to win. So we'll put it that way, obviously. And it's just, I'll start with this. The Bing Bong thing. It's now after every team beats the Knicks, they're tweeting out a Bing Bong. And it's just, it was kind of, the Knicks fans are having fun, let them have fun. But after a while, it just became, we talked about this with Triple M when he was on. He was the original one to have the video outside the Garden. We repeat this every episode, but for those who are new, the original one when they hit 500. And then it became, everybody's like, let's take a picture outside and try to get a viral video. And now after the Knicks win the opening game, you guys are dancing in the streets like we won anything. I get a playoff win. It's like exciting. Our first playoff win in 8 years, 7 years, whatever it is. That's fine. But now it's like, look at this. You got the stupid things, the guy with the L on his head and the Bing Bong. And now we're getting mocked by everybody every time we lose. And it's just like, this is what you get.
Right.
And it's just calm down. Like, you win one game, like, it's okay. Calm down. And I know the big crowds are because of the construction outside the Garden. If you drive by or see it, it's ridiculous. But that's why there's like all that bottleneck. I talk about this every episode too, but it's just enough. Like, can we now just be like, can we just be like normal fans? Like, we win, we lose, whatever. Can we just do that? Is that okay now, Mike? Is that okay?
Hey, I mean, hopefully it's more losses for you than wins, but I see, it's funny. Like I see that. I'm like, oh, this is so stupid. Like, I hope the Nets defeat the Knicks, and I really hope Nets Twitter doesn't do something stupid like that and have some sort of Bing Bong quote tweet. I mean, because I feel this way, because and I've said this before. I think Nets fans and their teams should be in the business of winning championships and not stoop to something like that. And I don't mean that
like Charles Oakley.
Yeah, I don't. But yes, like Charles Oakley. And it's funny because you and I were texting about this, and I was at that game where the Nets. Who were they playing? They're playing the Pacers. They beat the Pacers, and they got to play them without Brogdon and LeVert, which was nice. And Oakley. I actually went to pee, so I missed it. I didn't even see it, to be honest. And then Oakley was there, and Nets doing a thing where I think they showed Bulls highlights of him and stuff like that.
It said 10th all time in offensive rebounds or something. They didn't mention that he was a Knick. It's like, come on.
It didn't say, and you explained this to me, but it didn't really occur to me. I'm like, Okay, like it's over. I don't know. I just didn't realize how. I don't want to say this because it's such a non-nice thing to say, but I didn't realize how sensitive Nick fans still are about it. That surprised me. But
Well,
it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I explained it to you on text. So I'll give a quick news brief of what I was saying. It's kind of if Richard Jefferson did the same thing, like how you would feel if he was at a Knick game and just like showing Spurs highlights of him up on the jumbotron. Like,
Right.
It's kind of one of those things, and also it's the fact that why they're doing it because Dolan and him have issues. That's Dolan's biggest enemy right now, publicly at least. Like what we know, we don't know. And there's no ban on Oakley at the Garden. Oakley doesn't want to go. They were in court. I don't even know if they're still in court. Who cares anymore? Everybody's over it. But then the Nets just bring Oakley to the Barclays Center to come and watch a game. And Oakley's doing.
Bring him.
They knew he was there. He's sitting front row. Like I mean, he might have showed up himself. Yeah, because he's a jerk. Not a jerk. I don't mean like that, but he's trolling. He's trolling. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I think there's a big difference of, hey, let's invite him and have this premeditated. That to me is ill. But if he's there and then I think that's a very big difference in how something happens. And it's so easy to put a media package together. They could see him sitting there and do that in 3 minutes. But if there was like a legit ticket sent, I think it's a huge difference because then it's, it was planned basically. I think
at least do it during a Knicks game. At least do it during a Knicks game. Like at least do it like have Oakley show up at a Knicks game at Barclays Center. That'd be a little more exciting, like a little more funny.
That would be fun.
But either way, it's enough. Right. It's just like this is kind of pathetic. Like, and then you have like Nets fans who like try to take like, oh, we have this great team. We don't care about you Knicks. We don't the organization. We don't care about the Knicks. And then all of a sudden you put Oakley on the big screen. Everybody's laughing. Like, oh, why you like you care? We talk about this all the time.
It's fun to
There's
see
a rivalry. We both care about the Jabs. Sorry, I'm talking over you again, but
Well, I enjoy seeing the Knicks lose. We've talked about that a million times. I don't need to, express it anymore. The Oakley thing doesn't, like I said before, to me, it's overplayed, and I don't like seeing it because I want to see the Nets beat the shit out of them, on the court, which will be on November the 30th. That game will be in Barclays, which will be fun to watch because I was at this Nets game last night, and it was a Wednesday night versus Atlanta, and Atlanta is now a fun draw. They got a lot of nice young players. Trae Young headlines
stars.
They're a fun team to watch. If from a national brand, a lot of people are into the Hawks, but I gotta tell you, like there was an energy and a buzz in the arena that I wasn't used to for a Nets Hawks game on a Wednesday. It definitely felt strange to me to see that. This was, it was new. They had all the Nets retro court out there yesterday.
That's probably the buzz. Wednesday. Most of the buzz is probably from that to see the jerseys and stuff. You think, or is it because it's a big Eastern Conference team? It's a big playoff team, a big matchup.
Yeah, but you got to remember, I'm still thinking Nets. Like there, even there was people there. It was cool. I was into it, and I know there's this whole like war on Twitter with people getting into like, look at the seats. It was $8 for the last row on a Monday night versus the Cavaliers or whatever the hell they're doing. But look at the Garden. It was $42, and then people getting back and forth. It's all bizarre.
Yeah. And it's more expensive than Brooklyn. That's just how it is with apartments too.
Right. So. But it was just. I mean, from my end, being there, I was like, "There's fucking people here, and this is fun." I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to a Knicks game in a long time, so I can't tell you what the the audio levels are like inside each different arena. But I will say this because I know a lot of Knicks fans want to get on the Nets for this. It was packed. It wasn't sold out completely, but for a Wednesday night versus Atlanta, good energy, great third quarter by the Nets. Here, basketball, Durant. I mean, he was simply sensational in that third quarter to help the Nets go 5-3. And I was watching the Knicks. I was with Evan Roberts, and he brought his iPad out, and I was watching the Knicks in the corner. And I got a little nervous, Alex, when the Knicks cut it to 2. But they just seemed like they couldn't just get over the hump, and eventually Indiana put them away.
Well, it's 2021, and we expect big men to shoot threes, right? You just know big men are just going to shoot threes at this point. And there's nobody who's on the floor that can't shoot a three for the most part. They might not do it in a game, but whatever. But when their center or powerful, whatever he is, Miles Turner is 7 of 10 from 3, you're not going to win that game. It's just one of those games where it's just his amazing game, and that's it. And I was looking at his game log recently. He had this amazing game here against the Knicks on Wednesday, right? Is it Wednesday? Tuesday? Wednesday?
It was
Wednesday. And then I look back at a bunch of dud games, and they had a 40-10 game. It's like, this is who this guy is. And that's why his numbers look good, because his big games are huge. And we were unfortunate enough to catch him on the day that he had one of those big games, and it's just really difficult to do that. And the defense in the backcourt has been horrible. And the Knicks would hit a couple shots. They started off really slow. They went down 11-0, but they were getting on their runs, their mini runs. You know, like in the NBA, everybody makes a run, but they just couldn't get any stops. And like Kemba and Fournier were getting crushed, and it was just it's really difficult. But you know what? I'd rather have the guys who can play well on offense than the guy who can play well on defense, because you're going to need the buckets more than you're going to need the defensive stops, in my opinion, in today's NBA, because they move so fast. But if Kemba's giving me 15 points per game and not 25 or 22, that's not really worth the bad defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're giving me Kemba or close to what Kemba is, who we know Kemba to be, then I can deal with the bad defense. Like, do you think the Warriors care? I mean, obviously it's on steroids level of this. Do you think the Warriors care that Steph Curry can't play defense? No, they care that he's putting it between his legs and chucking up these threes and winning titles. You know, they're not going to care if Kyrie, you know, crosses him in the finals and gets like 25 and 10. Like, they don't care, you know? So it's just, you got to get some stops. And, you know, I've seen rumors that people are going to be like, they're going to bench Fournier for Grimes soon. Like, relax, guys. They're 5-3. Like, they're not benching their free agent signing.
$20 million.
Yeah, they just gave him $20 million per year, and they're not. And Grimes was a late first round pick. Let's chill. Grimes needs to work his way into the rotation first. Let's see if he can do it before we're just thrusting him into the starting rotation. You know, and let's chill out. You know, so. But fans are excited because we're not used to this. Knicks fans are not used to this, to have a good team, having a good team. It's been 7 or 8 years since the last one when they won 54 games. But so we're taking every loss and win like a football game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like, you know, Mike White is now Tom Brady because he had that one game. You know, it's just, oh my God, look at Grimes. He had a couple shots in the summer league. You know, we got to put him in there for Fournier. You know what I mean? It's chill out. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That game sucked.
And by the time you're listening to this, Mike White it'll be we're recording this before Mike White has his second game, so maybe
sorry,
his legend. No, I'm just letting people.
I broke the rule. We made a rule before in a pre-production meeting not to bring up the Jets because
no, you can bring it up. You can bring it up. You just got to be honest with people when they're listening. Going, boy, I thought Alex liked the Jets. He doesn't know they played 2 games. This guy's a moron. Right. I just want to make sure
they may have won 41-0 over the Colts, like they did it against the Colts.
800 yards passing.
So,
but I want to get back to your point about Kemba, man. He is so Jekyll and Hyde. When he is on, he's on. But when he's bad, he's bad. Not as extreme, I think, with Fournier. And I mentioned this after their big win versus the Boston Celtics in the first game of the season. That is Fournier, man. He gets hot. He looks unstoppable. But there's times where he can get ice cold and not make a shot. And you're seeing it play out in real time. Now that there's been a little more of a sample size with this team, you can see the good is good, but the bad is bad. And it can be scary on that front. And from a net perspective, it's been weird because this Nets team doesn't have the offense that it did last year. This crossed my mind a little bit before, and now I'm really seeing it in my head, I think, play out as the team gets more chemistry and they're figuring each other out and they're playing better basketball. They have guys in the postseason that are going to be more adapt for that style of basketball. The Millisaps, the Aldridges of the world, the Patty Mills. They have guys, once they get into that slow down style where it will happen, I feel more confident about this group of Nets when we get there than I think I do right now, because it's up and down. You know, things tighten up in the playoffs. It's about defensive stops. The Nets look, their defense is a lot better. I mean, from a simple eye test of last year to this year, they played the Hawks last season and the score was 151-147. Yesterday, they beat them 117-108, and they controlled Trae Young and they did an okay job on the boards. And Kevin Durant went wild in the third quarter and they got the win. So it's funny because I know your point about the offense and the defense, but I think from my end, I'm thinking, boy, they look like they can actually play some defense this year. And that makes a huge difference. And, you know, they're not the same team offensively because Kyrie Irving's not walking through that door.
Yeah, I mean, so you're saying that they don't need Kyrie because, you know, they're playing better defense against the Hawks without Kyrie. You know,
no, don't put words in my mouth. If Kyrie Irving come back,
yeah,
no, he can come back
on record. Yeah, which would be crazy. With Eric Adams, our new mayor, New York City, had that story. There's a story leaked out that he's going to try to lift the mandates for athletes and performers that they would, like Broadway, things like that they wouldn't have to get vaccinated, which is kind of unfair, but things are going to have to change over time. I don't want to get too vaccine talk focused, but kind of had to mention that because that's kind of a glimmer of hope for Nets fans. But even if, because whenever he takes office in January, even when he does that, it's not going to be like the first day he comes and signs a piece of paper and we're done. This stuff takes months to litigate, months to negotiate it. And, how politicians are. They're just trying to get everybody excited about him coming into office and stuff. So,
no, I understand a lot of people. I mean, Kyrie
Yeah.
Irving's not working, but a lot of people out of jobs. I mean,
Kyrie's still getting paid. He's still getting $18 million.
A lot of money. A lot of money. Yes. And it was
not like a teacher.
Vaccine or lose your job. And so I'm going to lose my job. That is their choice. They had that right. They had that choice. But with that comes then, now we're changing the rules. It's going to piss people off. It's going to do it. Absolutely. Back to the basketball front. What the hell happened versus the Raptors in that in the end of the second quarter into the third quarter? It was beautiful to see because the Knicks 5-1 up 10-12 versus Toronto. And it's like, since that moment, a flip switched and they've been terrible. And it's been great.
You know why? It's because they played too many minutes against the Magic, man. That's obviously the reason why. I'm just kidding.
Is it?
I don't know, man. It's just going through a slump. It's just what happens. I mean, the shots aren't going. Like in the Pacers game, people who saw that game, they were getting open shots. They just weren't going down, and that has nothing to do with being tired. It has nothing to do with anything. It's just they're not going in. And Miles Turner was on fire, and that's just the NBA. And they're not a 60-win team. You know what I'm saying? They could win 40-50. 50 on a very, very amazing rate, but 45-40 is pretty much where they're at. And this is what happens to teams like that. That means there are a few games over 500 is what we think realistically. They could be better, but you know what? They got to win these close games, and they got to win the games that they're supposed to win. Like that second Magic game, you got to win that game. You want to be a good team. You got to win those games. You can't give those easy ones away because you're going to have nights like the Pacers or like the Raptors where it just falls apart. You just don't have it, So it's rough and it's frustrating, but they're 5-3. The Knicks are still legit. The Knicks still have a good team. RJ Barrett's starting to turn the corner. That's very exciting. A huge game against the Pelicans, and just we're going to be all right. The lefties are going to be all right over there. Randall and RJ, they're going to be just fine.
Are you worried that Obi Toppin doesn't get enough minutes?
Trying to start controversy. I'm not worried. Let him. He's in a great role. Teams fear him now. You can see it when he's running the floor. They're like running around. Like, where is he? He's about to dunk it on your head.
Get minutes.
No, he doesn't. But you know what? It's fine. Now Noel is back, so he's getting even less minutes. But at the same time, it's a good problem to have, Mike. It's a good problem to have, as they always say.
I get it. But I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna trade somebody just so Obi can get minutes? You can't do that.
I don't know. I guess if you're a lottery pick and you're the 8th pick in the draft and you can't get on the court in your second year, I don't know. I just find it intriguing what they're gonna do.
Somebody's gonna get hurt.
Especially if Randall's not, especially if Randall, I know he's put together a solid start, but he hasn't been as good. I mean, he hasn't been. His shooting numbers are down. I mean, he has not been the same player he was last year. I'm not saying
his stats are. His non-shooting stats,
everything. It's just been a tick below. He hasn't. Now they've gotten more production, like we said. RJ Barrett's improved. They've got better backcourt around them offensively, and Fournier and Kemba Walker. But it would just. I don't know. I think Knicks fans are a little scared that Randall's down a tick, and it means Obi doesn't get minutes.
Yeah, and so be it. But like I said a few minutes ago or a few seconds ago, somebody's going to get nicked up. Somebody's going to get injured. Hopefully, it's not a serious injury, but it always happens. If somebody's going to be out 2 weeks, and then he's going to get his playing time, and then you got the time, you get the big minutes, and you better earn it. And if he's crushing it, you can't sit him down. So it's just the weird lineup that you could potentially do, which would be crazy and no shooting. If you do Kemba, RJ, Obi, Randall, and Mitch, but then you have no real small forward. You have no, you know what I mean? So Obi needs to hit that 3 more consistently to do that kind of a lineup. But that's something you can tinker with, Kemba or Rose, either one, who knows? But it's just, you don't know yet. And I don't like to speculate, but it's a good problem to have. And I forgot what reporter said it because I would like to call him out, but I don't remember who it was. Somebody said, the Knicks' biggest problem is that they have too many good players. Too many good players. And I think it was Windhorst. He's a good reporter, but it just said it on one of those shows on ESPN. And I was just like, are you kidding? Too many good players. I'd rather have that problem because, I know Tibbs is a coach that will figure it out. You know what I mean? It's not like he's one of those guys that no experience first time coaches that has no idea what they're doing. The Knicks used to hire. So, I'll be all right.
With that front, I think I think Steve Nash deserves to get some credit because he's done a good job in his second year. And on this front, the Nets yesterday defensively versus Trae Young and the Hawks looked terrible in the first half. They could not defend. And he found a way to get to James Harden. And I think it's tough for people. I think it's tough to garner the respect of James Harden as a coach. Steve Nash has it. He talked to him and, like, without being condescending, figured out a way. And I was listening to the Nets in the post game, and he talked about this to get James Harden to play better defense. And I know it's not talked about, but Steve Nash has done a decent job, and I think he deserves some credit there. And early in the season, like, it's funny to me, and I'm someone that's done this, and I'm not excused from this, but everybody with Kenny Atkinson hated that Kenny Atkinson never tinkered with the rotations. All he did was, this is what it was. You knew at the 8-minute mark, you knew at the 6-minute mark, you knew which guy was coming in. I mean, it was automatic. Once you saw enough net games, you could do it. And then Steve Nash rolls around and he's throwing all these different guys out there, and people are freaking out. How can you not play him? Me too. How can you not play Bruce Brown? Which was bad, as we've seen now. He's in the lineup. How could you not play this guy? How could you?
Yeah.
And he experimented, and now, through all that, he's found a nice, steady rotation that's worked. Bembry's been awesome for the Nets. He was actually, ironically, Kyrie Irving wanted him, and he was one of the last pieces to come here. Athletic guy, defends, okay shooter, but he does the things that the Nets need.
It's like Damari Carroll. He reminds me of a guy like that. You know,
more athletic, less skilled, more athletic. Get up and down the court. But he's been a nice addition to the Nets. Did a good job defensively. Had to cover Trae Young in the second half. Like, did a nice job. So, you know, I think Steve Nash deserves credit, as crazy as that sounds. And I know the Twitter police will come out and go, I could do that. You give the ball to Durant. But he's managed all of this. And I think he's done a nice job in this second year. And I've been pleased with it, man. It's been good to see. And I wanted to bring up those Nick comments because I don't know how annoying it is.
What Nick comments?
I wanted to just talk Knicks for a minute and, like, ask you Nick questions too, because people giving me shit online saying, well, what are you going to do when the Nets aren't good in 4 years? And I'm like, well, I mean, stop it.
We'll figure that out in 4 years.
Right.
You know,
come on,
hypothetical
man.
problems. Never fight about hypothetical problems. It only leads to disaster. Just a word of advice.
I'll do 40 minutes and we can break down the Knicks, and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to.
We also talk other sports. We also talk other sports on this podcast, not just Knicks and Nets.
You're
wearing a Mets shirt. We talk about the Mets and baseball.
Not true at all.
Yeah,
I'm not wearing a
look
Mets
at
shirt.
YouTube on our YouTube channel. You'll see he's wearing a Mets shirt. We talk Mets in the baseball season. We talk Jets and Giants a lot, but the Jets and Giants have been so bad, and the Knicks and Nets are the core of this podcast, and it's the reason why we're doing this. So we talk mostly Knicks and Nets, and we sprinkle in some other New York sports other major stories.
Not true. He's lying. Like, I want to be.
I had such a nice PSA, nice commercial for bad weather fans, and you're like, nope, that's bullshit.
Nope, not true. Not true. Like everybody's giving Quickly shit because he can't shoot, but I think he's done a better job I think he's done a better job distributing the ball as an actual point guard this season. How's that? Is that all right?
It's been 8 games. Like, you know, like everybody's like ready. What's wrong Quickly? Let's bench him. Like, relax, dude. They had a whole season last year where he played really well. He's just having a little bit of a sophomore slump, and he'll be all right, man. He's still a kid. You know, he's still younger, like 4 years younger than Obi. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's relax. Or is he? I don't know. Whatever he is. You know, he came after his sophomore. It doesn't matter. I'm going to back myself into a corner. I don't know how old he is, but he's definitely younger. And let's chill out. You know what I mean? Like, he looked great last year. He'll get it together, man. It'll be all right. That's the guy though that can lose minutes to Grimes though. Quickly can lose minutes to Grimes.
That I could see.
Not Fournier. Not Fournier.
Yeah. They paid Fournier 4 years, $70 million. They're going to let him play.
He's going to play in his first year at least. He's going to play. Yeah.
Unless he, like, in that Thunderstruck movie where Kevin Durant loses all his talent, unless something like that.
I've never seen that. Honestly,
I've seen it. It's awful. I mean, it's just awful. I did want to tell you, I don't know. I texted this to you. Maybe I did. I can't remember. After the Nets defeated the Pacers on Friday, I was driving home and listening to WFAN. And Steve Summers was on the air talking about the Nets.
Yes.
And he pissed me off that I called in and had to call him out. He drove me nuts.
Schmooze, you getting on the schmooze, man?
Yeah,
he's such a good guy.
He annoyed me because he called the Nets the Brooklyn Mercenaries after their win. And it pissed me off. I got right on. And I said, did
he know who you were? Did you say it's Mike Biseglia?
He doesn't know who I am anyway. It doesn't matter. So I said,
oh, yeah. All right.
He
we
definitely
work
doesn't
together
know.
with him in the same building, CBS
He
Sports
wouldn't know
Radio.
who I,
You
I
know what I mean?
promise.
So,
I promise
okay.
he wouldn't know who I am. And I said,
Okay.
Steve, it sounds like you're calling them the Brooklyn Mercenaries. Kevin Durant just signed an extension. It feels like you're saying that because you're angry at them that they've taken a little bit of the Knicks steam and you want to find a way to be condescending against them. I think that's unfair. I said, and I called in and I said, I originally wanted to talk about LaMarcus Aldridge's offense, but I pivoted after listening to what you had said. And his response was he went on this tangent and said they'd be better if they had Jared Allen right now in the mix. I was like, well, yeah, that's true. He would be a nice addition to this team. I guess. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
DeAndre Jordan's gone, so yes, he's not
right.
the guy
But
that
I
you thought
just
you were
couldn't
getting. Yes,
I couldn't take it, Alex. It really got on my nerves.
I hear you. That's why it's sometimes when your team loses, I don't like listening to the fan or any sports radio station. I need to just put music on. I need to listen to my hip hop, listen to my songs, listen to my whatever I like to listen. Just let me just zone out from sports radio, unless it's like a big Jets loss and it was Joe and Evan days and I had to listen to them. But other than that, I need to just, realign myself and get back into this is just sports. Let me relax. Yeah.
It's funny because some people, I myself am one after losses, and we could use this podcast as an example. I don't know. It'd be interesting. And again, if you're watching this, tweet the video of where we are or where you are watching this. And, I'll retweet it and you can take a look at this video or you can take a look. Well, I'll retweet it. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to think of the next topic I want to get to. My brain's trying to do.
You're at Mike Delivers Pod, and I'm at Nick Central on Twitter. So go ahead.
What was I even getting to now? My brain. Oh yeah. So my point is, it's funny. Like
schmooze. Yes.
After a big Nick win, people want to go listen to you, right? But after a big Nick loss, people might be like, I can't handle it.
Can't listen. Yeah.
But there's the opposite where people are like, it's therapy for me to come to my friends. Let me listen to Alex get me through this.
A lot of people told me that at the end of that Hawks series, because I was so mad that they listened to because they wanted to hear somebody yell. Like after that, it wasn't like a game 7, you lost at the buzzer and everybody played well. That's the kind of thing you shut everything off and get me the hell out of here. The way the Knicks lost in the playoffs where that was me. Yes. The way the Knicks lost in the playoffs, how they went down without a whimper after they got, talk smack. And then Capella said in the press, we're going to kick you in the butt. What are you going to do? You're not going to, they try to talk tough and we're going to kick their ass. And pretty much is what he said. And then they did it, and they did it on their home floor, and it was not even close most of the games in the last 3. And it was just like, I was so mad about that. And I wanted to hear everything. I wanted to hear everybody complain and trash them. I just wanted to hear everything because they deserved it. Yeah. But, after a game like the Ewing finger roll, for example, I was a kid, but I couldn't watch any. I was out of there after, a big Jets loss. No, you know what I mean? I don't need to see that. Like, imagine the Vikings after, they missed the field goal and they could have went to the Super Bowl. The guy doesn't miss a field goal all year. What's his name? Gary Anderson, right? He didn't miss a field goal all season. And then he misses it in the 98, 99 NFC Championship game. He misses the field goal. And then they were 15-1 and that's it. Imagine that feeling. You know what I mean? That's Kevin Durant. Sorry, I went football. We got to stick to basketball here, but Carlos Beltran strike 3, staring at the curveball.
That's a good one.
Started tossing things, and I was out of there. I can't just shut the world off. I'm just angry, and I got drunk, and that was so. Anyway,
but first, Alex, can we do the jersey number trivia and see how we do this week? Do you want to read to me first, or would you like me to read to you first?
I'll read to you first.
And we'll be quicker this time. We won't do 8 minutes of going ums and ahs and thinking. We will get to it because I was listening back and I'm like, yeah, no one needs to hear that.
No, but we're so mad in the moment. We want to get it.
Yeah.
So jersey number trivia. We started off. I don't remember what episode it was, but in the 20s. I pick a number. So let's say we're number 20, episode 22. I'd guess to 22. I'd give Mike a number 22 on the Nets for him to guess, and he'd do it vice versa for the Knicks. But now we're number 80. What are we?
89.
89. So there's no 89. So we have our buddy at Dolan_J_Trump on Twitter, buys merchandise, t-shirts, hats. He sponsors it. He gives me a Nets one to have Mike guess, and gives Mike a Knicks one to have me guess. So I'll go first, and I'll give you the Nets one. Or you want to? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'll guess first. I'll guess first because I think I read to you last time first.
Okay, don't remember, but okay, here we go.
I do.
So number 0 on the Nets, right? He wore number 0. Just 1-0,
Andre
not double
Blatch.
zero. No. He wore number 0 during the 2015-2016 season in Brooklyn, his only year on the team.
Okay.
Actually, Blatch, I thought he was going to be good because he had some good years at the Wizards. Or he
had
had
a
showed
nice
some
year.
talent. He showed some
0.
talent. Okay, he started 17 of the 78 games he appeared in and averaged 7 points and 4 assists. So number 0, 2015-16 season in Brooklyn, his only year with the team. Started 17 of 78 games he appeared in and averaged 7 and 4.
Going.
His NBA career lasted only 4 seasons after being drafted by the Hawks 18th overall in 2013.
2013, 8th overall?
18th.
Okay. I have no idea right now.
Okay. He played for 3 other teams aside from the Nets, including the Celtics, Knicks, and Mavs. So it looks like he never played for the Hawks.
Sounds like it. Yeah. Is that it?
2 more. He attended college in the city where Versace was assassinated.
This is getting. Whoa. That's not fair because there could be multiple.
Who the hell knows that
in the city?
I mean, I know he was assassinated, but I don't know what city. Was it LA? I mean, I don't want to guess it, but I don't know.
What a strange clue. I'm upset about that clue because
he wasted it. Yeah, he wasted a clue.
Well, because let's say I hate that we're even doing this, but where he's assassinated, that city could have multiple schools.
Yeah.
So then I don't even.
And it's kind of sad to talk about somebody being murdered and let's guess the city where this person was murdered.
All right. I can't. Anyway, I can't believe I'm helping. This
anyway,
guy
just
make
forget
money.
that one. Yeah, he comes from a family with athletic pedigree.
All right. I don't know.
You want to guess? I'll give you one more hint. He played point guard.
He played point guard. Is he a Teague?
No, he is not a Teague.
He played point guard.
And his dad did not play basketball.
I'm sure I'll know it when he says it, but I'm blanking on that 15-16 Nets year. Who is it?
Shane Larkin.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
The son of baseball Cincinnati Reds great Barry Larkin, obviously.
Yeah, he never really had a great career. Shane Larkin.
No, he was a terrible Knick, too. That was one of Phil Jackson's trades, and they got him. He was terrible.
All right, I struck out. That's okay. He wore number 2 during the 2019-2020 season, his only year with the Knicks.
Wait, what number was that? Number 2?
2. His only season with the Knicks, 2019-2020.
Okay.
He was drafted 28th overall in the 2009 draft by Minnesota out of the great state of North Carolina.
2019, 2020, so 2020 year. So it's last year.
No, he was he was the 28th overall in the 2009 draft by Minnesota.
2009 draft. And what year he played for the Knicks?
2019, 2020. Yes.
So 2 years ago. Okay. So that was the year with Fizdale and Miller. Okay, go ahead.
He has played for 9 different organizations during his 12-year career. Minnesota, the Lakers, Cleveland, Dallas, Detroit. Well, now he's trying to piss you off with clues. Biggie's favorite team in Brooklyn, Miami, and Memphis. Usually he's just pissed me off clues. How about that? He's actually playing it fair. Yeah. This guy.
So number 2, he played for a bunch of teams. Did he say how many games he started or he played or whatever or no?
He doesn't give you that. But we still have 2 more clues left.
Okay, go for it.
With the Knicks, he appeared in 36 games and started one of them at shooting guard, averaging 5 points on 35% shooting. The reason he was brought in as a free agent.
Okay, repeat that clue.
Yeah, that was weird. With the Knicks, he appeared in 36 games and started one of them at shooting guard. Averaged 5 points on 35% shooting. ... The reason he was brought in as a free agent.
5 points on 35% shooting. The reason he was brought.
I think he's trying to say he's supposed to be a good shooter. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Okay.
He averaged double-digit scoring 6 times during his career.
That's such a wasted clue too. He averaged double digits twice in his career. Oh, now I know. Like, thanks, dude. So 2009, and he was number 2. And he played for what teams? That's the clue. I think that's the one.
Minnesota, Lakers, Cleveland, Dallas, Detroit, Biggie's favorite team in Brooklyn, Miami, and Memphis. And that's the Nets, by the way.
Yes. I don't know.
Wayne Ellington.
See, I don't know what we talk about this recently. We don't know the recent players' numbers. Like,
no, I don't. I
when
didn't
you're
know
a kid,
Kyrie's
you're
number.
obsessed with that stuff. Yeah, that was tough. Because Wayne Ellington, it wasn't a guy like I was like, oh, let's go get that Wayne Ellington jersey. You know what I mean? He had a couple of big games. You know, hit
I would
some
hope
threes
not.
against the Nets once. He did a couple of big games, but whatever. Anyway,
there you go. All right, I got it last week.
Get some better clues. That was a terrible clues. Come on. We don't need murdering the places where people are murdered as clues. Like, please.
He's really stretching to try to make sure I don't know the school. He went to college in the town that my uncle's best friend Murray once had an apple. Oh yes, he was a Bearcat, Dolan. Duh. Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Knicks are 5-3, Alex. Nets are 5-3. I cannot wait for these two teams to play each other on November the 30th. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous about the Knick fan coming into the Barclays Center and coming in all raged up and angry and ready to yell. That does give me a little agita, not going to lie.
That'd be very exciting. But Nets fans show out for those games, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
They do.
They don't want that. The younger Nets fans that don't have as many commitments as we do as elderly people in our 30s, in our later 30s, they can just show up. If you were in your mid 20s, you're not missing this game. Early 20s, you're not missing this game either side. You know, so it's a big rivalry, even though people don't want to admit it. So I wouldn't worry about it too much if I was you.
All right, good. Because that's why I'm
rambling again.
I'm more excited for the game in the Garden, because then it's like the expectation level of Net fans made noise, more of an embarrassment. This is the way my psychology is working now. This is what I'm telling myself before I go.
The Nets are up 30 at the Garden. Then you'll hear a few "Let's Go Nets" chants, and then you'll be excited. We'll start chanting. I always wanted them Knicks fans to chant Jersey back at Brooklyn fans. Like go to the Barclays Center and go Jersey.
I love that.
Jersey. You know, because you try to act like you're a New York team when you're Jersey team.
I love that. Give me that all day. Let's go. I left the net game the other night. I was like, holy shit. I was like, there's so many people here. It's so crowded.
Yeah.
Like somebody's yelling. I'm like, I just want to get him to my parking lot. And go home in the Meadowlands with no one there. It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
There was and they would play the old Nets song, Nets, Nets. We're gonna rock the house. Da, 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 da. And it was the stupidest song in the world. And it's like, and it was like, da, na, 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 na. It was the stupidest song. Remember, 7 people.
But brought back memories. That's
Dolan
cool.
will know this because he was a Net fan then. He was a bigger Net fan than I was growing up. He's a little older. He's a big New Jersey Nets fan. He'll know the song. And he'll be like, yes, that was actually. Knowing him, I'll be like, yes, that was actually performed by Michael Bolton, which you didn't know. Like, he'll let me know that.
Yeah, and it's funny because you're talking about leaving the Meadowlands in an easy way, and I'm growing up going to Jets games my whole life as my dad was season tickets and growing up to every game, and leaving was like an hour just to leave the parking lot, and you're like, oh, I love going to the Meadowlands, no traffic. It's just like doesn't equate in my like. It was great. It's weird
when the Nets sucked. When they got better, it was a little worse. But when they
but it's still 18,000 people as opposed to 70,000 people is a big difference. You needed both parking lots, the arena and the stadium to have it. Yeah, anyway.
If you look at the Nets Pacers game, so the Nets played the Pacers in 2001, 2002. In the first game in 01, the year they went to the finals, their first game with Kid, I was at the game with my dad. There's 5,000 people there. Like 5,000. It's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
5,000. Crazy low.
You can sit wherever you want. You can just go wherever you want. Yeah.
That's won that game, by the way, and came back. Doesn't matter. All right. This has been Bad Weather Fans, episode number 89. Good stuff all around. Check us out. Give us a like on YouTube. 5 stars. Don't forget to leave a comment on Apple. And we do appreciate if you're watching this on video, see the YouTube clip, tweet out how you're watching it, show us, put it on Facebook, all of it. It's all super duper appreciated. 8 games in, Alex. 2 5-3 sports teams in New York. Mike F. and White, man. We'll see what happens.
Have a good one.
Bye.